Good morning, everybody. All right, welcome in. I got a real short one for y'all today, but it's more of a philosophical, motivational one for you. So, the other day, I was doing bent over rows in the gym, just barbell rows, nothing crazy, but just getting my workout in. I was feeling pretty good. And uh, about a couple racks over, guy over there is doing deadlifts, and he comes up to me. He talks to me. He's asking, "Hey, Bull, you look like you know what you're doing in the gym. I don't know this guy. It's just a random guy. I don't know this guy. I'm trying to hit a 3 rep deadlift max for I guess there's some test. He was active duty military and he was looking to get a higher score on this test of his. So he was looking to me for some pointers. And so I watched him. I said, "All right, do a set." And I see this guy put up 225 for three pretty easily. I can tell though, looking at him, I'm like, there's more strength here. 225 deadlift isn't bad, but it's nothing special. For me, your basic standard levels for what I would call, okay, you're strong relative to the normal population is a 225 bench, a 275 squat, or a 315 deadlift. So look at this guy, and I watched his form, and it wasn't bad, but there were a few cues that I told him, hey, maybe try work on this. So he was wearing running shoes, right? Running shoes are great for padding and cushion, but deadlift, where you want to have a strong connection to the floor, you're going to want that to be really focused on. You want a flat pair of shoes, or frankly, you'd be better off lifting in your socks than in running shoes. So I told him that. I wear Chucks to the gym, just basic old Chuck Taylors, nothing special. Uh, for that reason, there's a reason a lot of lifters stick to basic flat platform shoes like that. Now, there are fancy lifting shoes you can go spend half a paycheck on, but it's not necessary unless you're competitive lifting, which this guy wasn't, and I don't. So I told him, I'm like, yeah, you might want to get a flat pair of Chucks for this, or when you do your deadlift or your squat, do it in your socks. Just because first off, if you are, and it took me forever to learn this, but if you are lifting weights in your running shoes, you're just destroying the padding in your running shoes. It's not meant to bear that kind of a load, especially if you're deadlifting because you're putting the most weight on it. So, like, especially deadlift, shrugs, and squats, try your best not to do that in your running shoes if you like to go running. But he also was talking about, I was also watching his deadlift, and when he was doing the deadlift exercise, right? His starting, let me tilt the camera down to kind of give you an idea. His hands, right, when you deadlift, you should start the exercise such that, and I'm going to turn the light on very briefly here so you can actually see what I'm talking about. In a front to back perspective, when you deadlift, you want to start the exercise such that the bar is right over the center of your feet. Then you come up and you lock out your hips, right? This guy, and I see a lot of less experienced deadlifters do this, and then this is why a lot of them get hurt. This guy was deadlifting, starting the bar, not egregiously so, but out about at his toes, right? So it was out maybe about here. When you're doing this, you end up putting way more stress on your back and less you can get less hang on. There we go. You can get a lot less internal pressure built up to where right, you're having to lift it back towards you, right? You're having to lift it from the front back to your body because at the top of a deadlift, right, your hips are locked out and the bar is basically not resting, but it's right next to your body. So the easiest path of motion, I was explaining this to him, right? The easiest path of motion for the barbell is straight up, right? If this is your body, this is the barbell, right? You want it going like this. You don't want it going like this because that is going to be a lot harder. Effectively, you're turning a deadlift into a half barbell row at that point. You're going to have to activate your back way more, and that's where a lot of back injuries come from. So I explained that to him. I said, hey, if you're worried about scraping, and Everyone is to some degree, especially the bar he was using was pretty well knurled. You know, that knurling that gives you the good grip, but that's going to scrape the crap out of your shins. I told him a good pair of baseball socks. I swear by that. Whenever I try to deadlift really heavy, I will put on a pair of thick baseball socks, just so that way I can focus on peak explosiveness. And if I scrape, I scrape. You know, I don't have to sub. It's not even right. I've done enough deadlifts over the years to where I'm not worried about that consciously. It's a subconscious thing. It's basic. It's your lizard brain talking. So that was one where I was able to give him that tip. So couple tips here. Let me break out the whiteboard. This isn't even a consultation. This is just me giving y'all some basics, right, for a deadlift. See here. We want a straight bar path. That's number one, right? You want a straight bar path. That is going to be the easiest way for the bar to move. The easiest way for the bar to move means you can put on the heaviest weight. Okay? Second one you want, do not wear running shoes when you deadlift. Okay? Third tip for you. If you're rolling heavy sets, wear some tall socks. You'd be amazed at how much it helps. And my fourth and final tip. I've got another video about talking with this guy. I'll record it later. It's about the mental side of lifting because what was interesting is between the time we started and the time he left, he went from being very nervous about three repping 225 to confidently three repping 275. But I'll talk about the mental stuff in another video because I wanted to keep this short. Fourth one, if you want to boost your deadlift, really, if you want to boost any exercise, if you want to boost your squat, do variations on a squat. If you want to boost your bench, do variations on a bench, right? Pause squats, reverse grip benches, incline. But the same applies to deadlift. Okay, so what are some variations of deadlift that you can do? Well, if you're normally a sumo deadlifter, do some conventional deadlifts. If you're normally a conventional deadlift, do some sumo deadlifts, vice versa. If you don't do Romanian deadlifts, highly recommend those. So the Romanian deadlift is really focused on, you're not going to do a Romanian at as much weight, but with a Romanian deadlift, you're going to focus a lot on the eccentric and really stretch those hamstrings out. A Romanian deadlift will, if you're, going slower on the eccentric, test your grip strength as well. Grips, try opposite grip. I'm a fan of it. A lot of people say, oh, no, you shouldn't do opposite grip because it'll tear your bicep. It can if you only do it one way, right? So if you're going to do opposite grip like I do, alternate. So do an even number of deadlift sets. Go 1, 2, 3, 4. Easy. You dramatically reduce your odds of tearing your biceps that way because that does happen. But I've been doing that for years with no problems. I think that's the reason why. Other one I cannot stress enough in terms of variations. Okay, so I'm just gonna write a few here. All five of these have their places, right? You got, hang on, there we go. Conventional deadlifts, sumo deadlifts, Romanian deadlifts, deficit deadlift. So a deficit deadlift is when you step on a plate or some other small platform of a few inches and you do a conventional or really any other of those deadlift types. I'd personally just do deficits with conventional, keep it fairly simple. What this does is it increases your range of motion, and as a result, it allows you to, when you go back to doing a normal, flat conventional deadlift, it'll seem a lot easier. It also, being that low, having a bar that low will also help you work your glutes a little bit more and your hamstrings a little bit more because it's just you're able to you're able to think about really extending and stretching out that range of motion pretty well, focusing on your explosiveness. Uh, and then the final one, as far as variations are concerned, the Jefferson deadlift. Now I've talked about the Jefferson deadlift and how much I love it. I can't recommend it enough. I think it's my favorite deadlift variation. I think that it is really good in terms of it puts you at such a mechanical disadvantage that all of a sudden, 135 or 225 becomes a usable weight again. I'm a big fan of that just because it speeds up your workout. You don't spend half your life moving weights on and off the rack. So there's a lot of benefits to be had from that. Anywho, there are other deadlift variations. The others I'm less of a fan of. Block deadlifts is basically the inverse of a deficit deadlift. Most people do not have, okay, with block deadlifts and rack pulls, they basically are two variants of the same idea, which is reducing the range of motion to focus on part of it. There are equivalents to this, like the pin press for shoulders, or 90-degree squats. I'm not a fan of them, mostly because the number of people, right? If you're doing a block deadlift, you're really just focusing on the lockout. Same with a rack pull. You're really focusing on just locking it out at the top. The number of people I have met for whom that is the biggest problem point on a deadlift is very low. Usually, and this is myself included, people have trouble on the bottom half of the deadlift exercise, not so much the top half. So if you have trouble locking out, consider a block deadlift or a rack pull. But I I hesitate to recommend those just because it's not very likely that that's your sticking point. That's at least in my experience. I've seen very few cases of that. Final one I'll recommend is power cleans. Okay, so power clean is right. It's effectively a combined deadlift plus hang clean, right? The idea behind a power clean is it's a lot more explosive. It's an athletic movement. You will be tired by the end of the set. But what it will do, a power clean will help you learn to deadlift something when you're tired, and when you're gassed. Like if you if you're repping power cleans, you're gonna feel that, and you're gonna feel that pretty quickly. But what's nice is you won't be doing it at as heavy a weight, but you're still to get that power clean done effectively. You not only have to explode with your deadlift, but you have to finish with the deadlift moving up still. You can't just struggle to deadlift it and then expect to hang clean that same weight. If you're doing that, then no, you haven't got the idea. A power clean is one fluid motion. So to properly power clean something, you need to have more than the strength required to deadlift that weight. So if you're power cleaning 185, you're probably able to deadlift a lot more than that. But what it allows you to do is you can feel like you're bullying the weight a little bit at that point, and that's kind of enjoyable. So that's really all I had for y'all for this one. I'll talk about the mental aspect of lifting and why mental prep is so important in another video. I don't want to make this one go too long. So that is it for me for now. I'll maybe record that later, maybe not. We'll see how much time my day allots me. I have a few chores I need to get done. But as for if this is the last day today, or if this is the last video today, make good decisions. Those good decisions form your actions. Those actions form your habits. Those habits form your values. Those values form an ethos. Could be the guide star at the Roo, the rough waters of life. Uh, Speaking of, I did not watch the Texas A&M game last night. I heard it was good. I ended up watching the highlight clips because I had gone to an all-you-can-eat sushi restaurant, which was fantastic, but not a good idea. Um, because I ate so much, I was overheating, couldn't go to bed until a lot later, and I kind of screwed up my sleep schedule. It's already 8 o'clock. I should have been in the gym an hour ago, and I'm not. So, uh, is what it is. I decided to do this to give my body a little bit more time to kind of wake up and get going. So I'm gonna go hit a shoulder press day now, and then if I've got time, I will come back and get another video rolling. Much love, y'all. Come in for the hug. Play me out. If y'all have any questions, as always, write to me at askbullmuscle@gmail.com. Much love. Shoots.